Hello YouTubers, I'm Tim Adams. This is Joe Farrar, editor of WND. He banned me last year because he backed this guy, Mitt Romney, while it seems that WND has really fallen in love with the neocons. I was very heartbroken when people I had thought rather highly of got bought and paid for by the GOP. Meanwhile, the rest of us supported this guy, Ron Paul, and so I and many thousands of other people have been banned from WND. But today we're here to talk about one of their correspondents, Mr. Reza Kahili, who is supposedly a former Iranian Revolutionary Guard member and an ex-CIA agent who has a book out that he published in 2010, Simon & Schuster, where he makes these claims, which no one has ever verified. Just in case you don't believe me, here he is appearing in public with a mask and glasses and a hat on. No one's ever vetted his work or his claims. On December 16th, WorldNet Daily put out an article entitled Iran Making Anthrax at Secret Plant, and talks about all sorts of nasty bioweapons and chemical weapons that Iran was supposedly making at this place, with like 190 missiles that were supposed to be ready to launch upon us at any moment. Here's a photo from Reza's original article of the supposed plant, which he called Sahid Bahanar, but there's a problem with that. This is Sahid Bahanar. It's a seismic monitoring facility. In other words, it watches for earthquakes. It's located in the middle of downtown Tehran. The original article also had latitude and longitudinal coordinates, which placed the site somewhere in Ukraine and not in Tehran. So, having gotten the corrected coordinates, we went hunting for the site. So here's a picture of the actual site that I took in the middle of December from a much better resolution. Here are the longitudinal and latitudinal coordinates that you need. The supposed biochemical weapons plant is the lower bottom of the triangle, and the two upper coordinates are the places where the supposed Al-Mahdi sign and other things were located. So we'll talk about that more in a second. Here's the actual coordinates of the supposed plant, so you can go to Google Earth or any other satellite nav site and actually look at this stuff yourself instead of being misled, so that you don't get to look at it. Here's the picture from Reza's article that is supposed to be anti-aircraft batteries. Whether missiles or gun emplacements, I'm not sure which. I was in the Army. Kind of looks like he's talking about bermed gun emplacements. And this is from probably a couple miles up. So, I went looking for this, and it's right at the site where his supposed plant is, except for one small thing. Here's the actual anti-aircraft batteries. You'll notice there are none. This is simply some culvert work. There's a fiberglass culvert loaded there into one of the dugout spots at the bottom of the hill next to the plant, if you want to call it that, the industrial area. This is actually farmland around here. And these photos were only taken a couple weeks ago, while his photos were taken in 2010 and 11. So this is actually what's happening now. Once again, here's a close-up of the site. You can tell by the little irregular building, the square shape with the top sticking out of it there in the lower middle of the picture. Get an idea of where you're actually at. Notice no barbed wire, no gun towers, no gates, no roadblocks, nothing. Doesn't look like a highly secure, dangerous chemical bioweapons plant to me. Here's Reza's satellite photo from his original article. You'll notice that the plant is kind of a reverse L shape down the right middle of the photo. The supposed anti-aircraft batteries are on the left in the upper left quadrant. And you'll notice one thing that's missing from here. He claimed there was a big sign or monument dedicated to the Almaty at this site. It's not here. Once again, just so you can see that we're not fooling you, here's Reza's supposed anti-aircraft batteries. And it does look like it's been doubled over with Photoshop or something, but that could very well be mapping from the satellite passes. But that actually looks like it's just been doubled. And, Photoshopped around on a bit. And here's the actual anti-aircraft batteries, except, once again, they aren't. This is simply some mundane-looking earthwork where they're putting culverts in at the bottom of a hill. I'm sure we're all threatened by plastic culverts, and I don't think they would be very bomb or otherwise hardened against attack from airplanes, missiles, or anything else. Someone told me, oh, they're hardened bunkers. No, they're culverts. Here is the actual sign, Almaty. And yes, I went to Google Translate and so on and checked it out. That's what it says. It's located here. Now, on this map, you'll see the blue longitudinal latitudinal marker. That's where the supposed plant site that Reza was talking about is located. You'll see in the middle of the page a protected natural area. It's what we call a national forest. The problem with Reza's claim is that's where his Almaty monument is located. Many miles away from the site of the plant, and the two have nothing to do with each other. And as for it being the Almaty, once again, we'll need to talk about that, because Almaty is actually used as a title for religious leaders. It is used as a title for governing bodies and people in government in Iran and elsewhere in the Middle East. And people actually have the name Mahdi, which means enlightened one, in their name. So here's the actual sign, which is located at the front of a national forest. You can tell it because they planted the forest right behind the sign. And it's the forest is dedicated to the memory of the Almaty, known as the Prophet Muhammad, whose title is, or one of his many titles, is the Enlightened One. Once again, here's the map. Blue dot is the plant. The area in the middle with the label for the protected wildlife area, what we call a national forest, is in the middle, many miles away. That's where the sign's located. It's where your monument's at. It's not at the plant site. Once again, here's Google Translate. Go there, type in Almaty, get the translation so you can check the script. And you'll notice there at the bottom there are examples of the word Almaty being used in everyday contemporary press in the Middle East. They don't refer to some end-of-times prophet or Muslim messiah returning to earth. They refer to political and religious leaders and ordinary people. Here's a reference to Almaty and several verses from a well-known book. This book is, the references to the Almaty are about the Prophet Muhammad. And we'll show you a picture here. As we said, one of his many titles is the Almaty, or Enlightened One. So as we can see, WND has decided to go off the rails with another neocon attempt to start a war in the Middle East to get us involved. And you should expect to see a lot more of this fake propaganda in the coming months of this year. And be aware of it. Thank you.
الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين.
تي في قرآن، صوت في آفاق الحياة.
أم هل في الملأ إله غيرك فيرجى